it's Halloween, so I feel like I should talk about something spooky and scary today. Got anything involving zombies? Got anything involving superhero zombies? Got anything involving superhero zombies that I haven't read about before in the past? Got anything involving superhero zombies that I haven't read about before in the past over at DC? Hey, there we go. It's like I always say, there's a comic for everyone. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron, and this is Comic Crypt, our month-long look at the best in spooky and scary comics. And I gotta say, DC really did ensure that we saved the best for last. I am, of course, talking about the big finale to DCeased that just came out this week. First up, I just have to say, I love how well DC timed this out. Timed out this giant thing that's been coming out every single month, so that would wrap up right now, the day before Halloween. That's just, chef's kiss. That's just such good timing on their part. And we already talked about the first issue of this. And I can't remember exactly what I said about it, but I remember being positive on it. I remember thinking to myself, yeah, okay, it's a pretty darn good first issue. You know, it's just a setup. We have to see where it goes from there. And since then, I will admit, this has kind of been a little bit of a roller coaster for me, because I never disliked the book at any time. But there were a lot of times in this book where I was like, yeah, so, you know, it's superhero zombies. I've read about this before. It's, you know, it's not really the most creative new thing, but you know, it's being handled pretty darn well. And you can't help but in your mind instantly compare this to Marvel Zombies, because that was really the first time that someone came in here with the idea of zombie superheroes getting their own series, and it has continued to be pretty much the golden standard, if not really the only really notable other example of this. So yeah, when you come in here with the big giant DC zombie event, and you've got the big giant Marvel zombie event over there, you're going to, of course, kind of have to compare them in your minds. But as I was reading this, I realized this is indeed very different from Marvel Zombies. I do have to applaud them for that. But at the same time, it's different from Marvel Zombies in how not different it is from other zombie properties. And that was kind of bugging me a little bit. Not really bothering me. I might be exaggerating that a little bit, but I was kind of hoping for a little something more creative in there. Yes, I do know that this whole zombie virus in this series is being caused by a computer virus. It's an equation that gets inside your brain and causes you to just start scratching your face, and then you become a mindless zombie that wants to infect other people out there. But that never really came up all that much. It never really distinguished how that was that different from just a regular zombie virus. Like they mentioned that you could also contract the zombie virus by looking at a screen. It's like, okay, that's a cool thing. All right, I understand. That is definitely a new, different thing. I applaud them for that. But after that, it wasn't really anything that special. So basically, I was just reading a zombie story set in the DC universe. And that was indeed kind of cool, but here's the thing about what Marvel Zombies did. Marvel Zombies came in here with a story about what happens after the zombies have won. After the last human being has been eaten, and now it's just a planet of zombies, and the zombies turn to each other and go, alright, now what? And that was actually interesting, and actually built up each of these zombie characters. And I started following the story of these zombie characters. This is basically coming in here and going, okay, you're going to see the complete destruction of the DC universe to this zombie virus, which would be a big story, except this is an alternate reality. So when you come in here with really big moments that should have a massive impact on me, they didn't have that big of an impact because I knew, yeah, none of this is canon. None of this stuff is going to matter all that much because it is just an alternate reality. So if you can't really hit the big emotional moments with me, then what you can hit is the weird, crazy moments with me. You can basically take the toy box approach, where you take all your action figures, dump them on the floor, and just start smashing them into each other. And there are moments in here where they absolutely hit that. Like the moment where the Atom ends up shrinking down and attacking Captain Am, and they think, oh, well, he doesn't have flesh or blood, so of course he's going to be safe from the zombie virus. And then nope, the Atom shrinks down, actually attacks the atoms inside of the energy that makes up his body, and that ends up affecting him. That's actually kind of a cool thing. And then he actually goes completely nuts and detonates and takes out the entire side of the United States. Yeah, that's actually kind of like a huge moment in here. Or there's another moment early on in this series where Hal Jordan ends up getting infected, and then Green Arrow and Black Canary, they have to end up killing him, and the ring flies off Hal Jordan, and then lands on Black Canary, and then she becomes a Green Lantern, something that we have never seen. That's an awesome thing to do with an alternate reality story, where you realize, hey man, none of this stuff can really carry over to the main book, so let's just go completely nuts with this thing. Let's just do fun stuff in this book that we've always wanted to see. So yes, Green Lantern, Black Canary, that's awesome, that's great. But as I said, the emotional moments, yeah, they never really hit with me. And a good example is that Green Lantern moment in there. Because Green Lantern, Green Arrow, they are close friends. They have been together through thick and thin, and then Green Arrow and Black Canary, they have to kill Green Lantern. Oh my goodness, that is a huge, huge moment. There is like no emotional impact from that moment. At least not for me. I mean, it's just here and it's gone. It did not have that impact with me, and that kind of, you know, carries over to a lot of the deaths that happen early on in this book. Because it feels like early on in this book, they just had to come in here and they had to get these deaths out of the way. They had to just go down that checklist of this character's dead, this character's dead, this character's dead, this character's dead. They're all zombies, they're all attacking now. And I understand this whole story is about the zombie apocalypse happening, and the zombies are all superheroes. You kind of want to get a whole bunch of superhero zombies out of the way right there at the start. But felt a little bit rushed to me. This series is written by Tom Taylor, and Tom Taylor is an expert at making me feel those big emotional moments. But he's an expert at it because he likes to take his time. He likes to build up these characters. You know, I keep mentioning that it's hard to make me care about these characters because it's happening in an alternate reality. So is the Injustice series. However, Tom Taylor spent years on that book, making me form attachments to those alternate reality versions of these characters, so that eventually, when really big things did happen to these characters, I looked at them and just went, oh my goodness, I care about this character so much because I've been reading about them for all this time and I've been following all their ups and downs. So now seeing this happen to them, holy cow, that just hits me just right here in the chest. But in this series, he didn't really have time to do that. You know, when big things happen in Injustice, I had formed the attachment with these characters, so to me, there was really no distinction between them and the main DC universe. I cared about both of them equally. In this series, it did kind of feel like they were just doing the big toy box thing of let's just have all these characters turn into zombies, but they didn't give me the time to really care about those versions of these characters. Until issue number 5. Until we got to the penultimate issue of this whole thing. Oh my goodness. That was when Tom Taylor just cracked those knuckles and just went, all right, time to do what I do best. And yeah, Tom Taylor kind of does that thing best. Now, let me just go ahead and say I love this series. I love these last 2 issues. These last 2 issues took any and all problems I had with the previous couple issues, just pushed them aside, just gave me an amazing story in there. I probably cast a huge shadow on the green screen behind me. Don't care because this book is so good. So I give it a huge recommendation. I would advise everyone out there to go and check this out. Even if you don't care about zombies, even if you don't care about horror, this is a great series if you just want to see these characters that you already know just really getting deep with each other here towards the end of this storyline. But normally, when I like a book this much, I don't spoil anything. I'm about to spoil all this stuff. Normally I don't spoil anything because when I like something, I want you guys to go out there and read it and support the book yourselves. But there are so many things to talk about that happen in these final 2 issues. So many things that makes you wonder, okay, what could this possibly mean for the future of this series? Because this thing sold insanely well, you know there's going to be a future of this series. This thing was praised by critics, audiences, money was thrown at from all angles. You know that we're going to get a DC animated movie of this at some point in time, more than likely. Yeah, this thing is definitely coming back. And they do indeed leave several possibilities for what could be coming up in the future, so I do kind of have to talk about all that. So if you don't want to be spoiled anything, tune out now. Happy Halloween. Enjoy yourselves. Check out some of the other videos that we have here that we've been doing all month long to celebrate Thorgiween. Bye, everybody. For all the people who don't want to be spoiled gone. Cool, let's talk about this thing. So, in issue number 5, you've got Barry and you've got Wally. And they were running around trying to collect people, and this was one of the things that really started to make this feel real to me, was when the superheroes had to come in here and start trying to find survivors. In the first couple issues, it really was just, okay, let's just have this character die, this character die, this character die. But then around like issue 3, issue 4, that's when they started building. That's when they started going, all right, let's see what these superheroes have to do in order to try and keep everyone safe, in order to try and save humanity, in order to try and bring everyone together. And there were indeed some big emotional moments before that, like the moment in which Superman had to go back home and check on his parents, and his mom was okay, but his dad wasn't, and he had to take care of his own dad. Yeah, that was a big emotional moment, but that was one of the few ones early on, because none of this still felt very real to me. But around the moment where the heroes have to start collecting people together, finding places for them to stay, and communicating with the other heroes out there who could possibly protect them and keep them all safe from the zombies, that's when it felt like, oh, it now feels like there's survivors, there's consequences, there's stakes to all this. What's going to happen to those survivors? Can we actually save mankind? And it honestly started to remind me of, I know I brought this up not long ago, but it reminded me of some of James Tynion's writings. I think that James Tynion is one of the best horror writers out there right now, and he has written a lot of stories about the apocalypse, and there always comes that moment in there where you get that feeling of, oh, this is actually happening, and there may not be any coming back from this. And that's when the weight starts to hit you from those stories. That's when it hit me with this story. When all the heroes had to start collecting the remaining humans together, and you saw things like Themyscira. You saw the island of the Amazons. They had to construct like an artificial part of the island, like bring up some of the seabed in order to expand their island so that they could welcome all the refugees in there. And I love like the discussions of, yeah, but we can't let people from man's world come here. And they're just like, there ain't gonna be a world, period, if we don't do this. So yeah, I did enjoy seeing the Amazons really step up in that moment. But I also really enjoyed seeing like Poison Ivy step up. Because you know Poison Ivy hates humans. However, she had to protect the green. And she realized, yeah, okay, at this point, the humans are struggling so much. Them and the green, we're all kind of like in this together. And plus, I kind of like that Harley lady over there. I mean, she's fun to keep around. She's a human and she wants to save the humans, so alright. So it was kind of nice seeing like alliances being formed here. And that's when this series really started to kick with me. That's when I really started to go, oh my goodness, like there's actually like a thing that the heroes have to do now other than survive the zombie apocalypse. They have to survive for humanity. They have to make sure that everyone can come back from this. And there are these moments in there where you really kind of like get that feeling of how desperate these characters are. And one of them was after Metropolis was destroyed by Captain Atom, only a few heroes were able to save themselves, but then Lex Luthor comes out. And you just see Superman looking at Lex Luthor, and you know these guys are the oldest of rivals, and then Lex Luthor just goes, look at what they did to my city, and you can just tell like, he's actually heartbroken. He actually like cared about this city, and now it's gone. So all that stuff between Superman and Lex Luthor, that doesn't matter. That is so small compared to all the other stuff that's going on right now. Yeah, I love that moment. It gives so much depth to these characters in just like a few little lines. But we're talking about what happens in the last couple of issues. The Flash ends up getting infected, and he is running around just wiping out some of the remaining survivors. And Superman knows he's the only person that can stop him. And there's this moment where Superman just goes, so you're sure that he's dead? You have to be 100% certain that he is dead and there is no way that we can bring him back. And they're just like, yeah, man, I'm sorry, but he's gone. All right. And then Superman just flies directly into the Flash and just obliterates him. And I love that moment of Superman going, you have to tell me that he is dead. You have to ensure me that there is no way that we can save my friend. Because that just speaks to who Superman is. If there is even a 1% chance that he can save someone, he's going to take that chance. He's going to try and do it. So he needed to make sure it was absolute zero chance of survival. Which, speaking of the big heroes in here, I love that Batman got taken out immediately. Listen, I have talked about this several times. I think that we are currently living in an age of Batman comics where Batman is just a walking god machine. Where it's just, nope, Batman always has the answers, and Batman is always going to save the day, and because Batman's popular, he always has to be the hero and everything. So I would have put money on this book, all revolving around Batman having to find a way to stop the zombie apocalypse. It's Batman versus all these superhero zombies. All right, how is Batman going to be able to outthink this situation? Batman is taken out at the first issue, and I love that, because It's kind of the equivalent of that old thing that they tell you to do when you get in prison. Take out the biggest, meanest guy there first. They just took out the guy who everyone was looking at like, well, because it's DC Comics and because he's Batman, he's going to, of course, be the big star of this whole thing. Oh, he was not. He's gone. But this was when the book really hit me, and this is one of the best moments of any comic that I've read this year. It's when Superman, after he kills the Flash, a tiny piece of the Flash, because both of them were moving so fast, was able to get lodged and was able to pierce Superman's skin. And then Superman looked down and went, I've now actually been scratched. I actually have like a tiny piece of this zombie infection inside me. And it's only a matter of time. And then he goes and he talks to his family one last time. And like the thing that he tells his son, oh man, I could feel those tears just welling up inside of me. And he says goodbye to them all. And he flies into space. And he's going to try and just choke himself out. He's going to basically just try and suffocate to death because he doesn't know how else to kill himself. But he stopped to say goodbye to his family. And in that small amount of time, that was all the time that the zombie virus needed. He could not die before he got into space. And because of that, the zombie virus took him over. The final issue of this series was all about the last few remaining heroes having to go and stop Superman while these two giant arcs with the last survivors of the human race going into space, they had to basically save mankind from Superman at this point. The last few survivors going up there in those ships, Superman just coming after them. Every step of this was great. I absolutely love every single bit of this battle. I kind of wish it had gone on just a little bit longer, but what ended up happening is that Wonder Woman ended up taking a piece of kryptonite that had been left to Damian by Batman, which I love that Damian has been walking around in the Batman suit this entire time, but it doesn't feel like the way that a lot of people write Damian in the Batman suit, like, yes, I am, of course, the true successor to my father's heir. No, it felt like, I am not big enough to wear these shoes just yet. I still need more time to train. I am not ready to be Batman. I love seeing Damian like that. I love seeing Damian be humbled. I love seeing him be human, having a very real reaction to the situation that he's in. And he left Damian with a piece of kryptonite. Wonder Woman ended up turning that into a sword. She ended up taking Cyborg and Green Canary along with her. Wow, did not even mean to say Green Canary, but I love that actually accidentally just came out of my mouth. And they get into this big fight, and during the fight, Wonder Woman ends up getting killed by Superman. But Superman, he's injured. He's been stabbed by that sword, but he still sees those arcs up there in the sky. And he flies after them. And there is this amazing moment in there of Jonathan Kent, Superman's son, just looking out there, sees his dad coming, and Damian just has to tell him, that's not your dad. He just goes, I know, but I'm the only one that can stop him. So you got Jonathan Kent now going out there, and his mom, Lois Lane, comes up to him and starts telling him, you don't know how to do this? And he goes, I'm the only one that can. And he pulls open his shirt to reveal the big Superman logo on there. It is such a glorious moment. It is one of the best things anyone has written for Jonathan Kent. And as I said, this is an alternate reality story. And typically in alternate reality stories, it's kind of hard for me to get an attachment to these characters to really feel the emotional impact. Oh man, I got chills just reciting to you what happened in that moment. That is how big and great that moment was. So, you got Jonathan Kent, he goes in there, he does this big slam in there. There's a great moment in there in which Lois says, his father would have been proud. Man, just that perfect little final line to put in there. But then the Green Lantern Corps finally shows up. And you know what's crazy? I hadn't even thought about them throughout this entire storyline. I hadn't even thought about, wouldn't the Green Lantern Corps try and do something about this? Green Lantern Corps comes in there and says they're going to have to quarantine the Earth. They start facing off with Superman. Superman realizes, I can't fight all of them. And this is the first time in like issue number 6, like the final issue of this, that finally hit me. Oh yeah, okay, so they're finally doing some stuff that's different than just, zombies. Where Superman looks at him and goes, because the zombie virus is an equation, it does the math, and goes, I cannot beat this. So it flies into the sun and absorbs all the power of the sun. And the Green Lantern Corps just looks at him and goes, yeah, he basically just killed off the entire universe. Not the entire universe, but the entire solar system. But the Green Lantern Corps were going to remain here, keep watch over the remaining few people on Earth, make sure that they don't get off, keep our eye on Superman, make sure that he doesn't get out of there. And this is when it starts getting into massive, massive sequel bait on this one. Because after that, the final shot of this is this big, glorious, emotional moment of all the remaining humans on the Ark. They find a new Earth, and they go, this is it. This is our Earth 2, our new start. And we know that all of our monsters are behind us now. But there's also a moment right before that where Cyborg, who is left on Earth, and he is still uninfected, even though he's the one that created the virus that ended up sending it out to all the humans. He ties up Wonder Woman with the lasso of truth. And he says, listen, the lasso of truth, it compels you. You have to do what I tell you to do right now, and you have to speak completely the truth. Do you have a voice? And then just lets out this, it's a book. It's a book, so you know that you can't hear anything, but I could hear the voice in my head. Just this like scraggly, almost sounds like the zombie from Return of the Living Dead, if you ever saw that one. The one that they had on the operating table, and they were just screaming out, brains, brains, it hurts, we feast to fight the hunger. Oh, like that voice in there. I kept picturing that, but colder, more robotic, and deeper. Just something like that. It was so creepy, just that moment, that setup to that delivery of that line. And it just goes, we have a voice. And then Cyborg says, how can we stop you? And then says, the answer is in you. You are both man and machine. You have the answer inside of you. And Cyborg goes, oh my God, I need to fly up to the Arks and I need to tell them that I could possibly save all of us. And then Wonder Woman just breaks free, decapitates him. And you get this feeling in that moment that there is definitely more to come. That was absolutely the feeling that I got, because here's all the things that are left on the table. Here's all the things that have not been resolved. Superman is absorbing all the power of the sun. You know that when he's done, he is going to be almost nearly unstoppable. He is going to be insanely overpowered. The Green Lanterns are still there watching over Earth. We've got Wonder Woman there. Wonder Woman can fly up into space. Wonder Woman can probably think of a way out of this. And also, the virus now has a voice. We now know that there is a collective consciousness behind this virus. You don't think that virus might, I don't know, try and build some arcs of its own? Try and find a way off of this plan? And then yes, she did end up decapitating Cyborg, but you know that Cyborg can survive with just a head. Cyborg, we've seen that dude without his body before. You know that he can still be alive, and it did kind of make me think of Marvel Zombies, how there was a moment at the end of the first Marvel Zombies. It's been years since I read that, but I believe it was the Wasp, who was just ahead at that point. She's still like stuck around for future installments of Marvel Zombies. I know that Deadpool also turned into Just Ahead, and they kept him around for several other stories. I looked at that and just went, yeah, I know how these zombie things work. Cyborg is just ahead, but he's also now got the answer. He now knows that somewhere inside of his brain lies the cure to this whole zombie virus. So he's gonna be back. He might have been decapitated and thrown into a big pit, but he's alive down there. He will find some kind of an answer. He will be back. I want to see what happens with that. But you've also got all the humans out there now on the new Earth 2. And you know that, hey man, maybe the virus gets on Earth 2, maybe the zombies come over to Earth 2. But there's also other humans left alive on the zombie planet. Like Poison Ivy. She said that she was going to remain. Someone has to watch over the Green is what she said. And Harley Quinn's like, well, I gotta stay here to watch over her. And we do know not every human could fit onto that ship. So there's a lot of stuff to think about in this. There's a lot of human beings that are still on that planet. There's a lot of heroes that are still on that planet. A lot of people who still have stories to tell. I mean, Poison Ivy is going to try and regrow all the plant life, and that's going to be hard with the sun slowly being burned out by Superman. And I mean, Poison Ivy said, I have to look over the Green. I don't remember if they brought this up, but I really don't think they did. Where's Swamp Thing? Swamp Thing is the avatar of the Green. Don't you think that he would come up in all this? And I kept thinking to myself, they have a whole mini-series here. And I don't even mean like a continuing storyline mini-series. You have that. You of course have the, what do the zombies do now? Where do they go now? What happens when Superman ends up finishing his feast? Yeah, that is DCeased Part 2. You have a whole anthology mini-series in here. In which you just go like DCeased Survivors. And one issue is dedicated to Poison Ivy. One issue was dedicated to, I don't know, Booster Gold, because why not? He came back in time and probably went, wow, that was a crazy adventure into the future. Skeets, what just happened around this place? There's so many stories that are still left to tell. So many characters who haven't been seen. As I said, where's Swamp Thing? Where's Shadow Pact? I'm sorry, they're not called Shadow Pact anymore. Where's the Justice League Dark? You know, all these magical-based characters. Where's Dr. Fate? Where's all these other characters who they would definitely still be on that planet? And they still got stories to tell. This thing is open to so many possibilities. And this series made me feel like I did after I finished reading Marvel Zombies for the first time of, yeah, there's so many stories left to tell. And I want to read them. I want to see where all this goes. Also, totally forgot to mention it, but there's an amazing Green Arrow moment in here. One of the best Green Arrow moments in anything with Green Arrow in it. And all I can think to myself is, DC, Tom Taylor has made it so clear to you that he wants to write a Green Arrow Black Canary book. Why won't you let him? Why won't you let one of the biggest name writers out there in the industry today write the book for you that he so clearly wants to write for you? Are you afraid that Green Arrow is not that hot of a ticket right now? It's Tom Taylor. He's one of like maybe 5 writers in the entire industry who brings an audience with him when he writes a book. Let that man write whatever he wants for you. But that is it. Those are my thoughts about the DCeased series. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below or on Twitter and Twitch at Professor Thorgy. I just want to say thank you guys for sticking with us and for all your support throughout all of Thorgiween. This is the craziest time of the year for us, and this year we went overboard. This is more stuff than I have ever done for Thorgiween, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it, because even though it is a ton of work, even though at this point I can relate to the DCeased characters, because I too feel like The Walking Dead at this point, it's still fun. I still have a blast every single Thorgiween putting out all these videos, so I just want to thank you guys so much. I hope that all of you enjoyed them as well. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and happy Halloween. Bye, everyone.